We, as you just mentioned, just are printing money like drunken sailors over here.
Yeah.
Those bills, like nobody in Congress even knows what's in it because their staffs don't get paid enough. And so all those bills end up getting written by corporate lobbyists.
Yep.
And so we as a country are rapidly approaching a point where just the interest payment on our debt is nearing the amount very rapidly of the total amount we collect in taxes in an entire year. So individual businesses, capital gains, all the taxes. And when that happens, right, we can print money to do new stuff as long as we can make the interest payment. And so when we can't make the interest payment, then we default on our debt, and it's economic Armageddon either way.
Right.
So a big part of the movement is we want to say, hey, this United States corporation is bankrupt. Let's put it into bankruptcy, discharge this debt, obviously while protecting our key assets, and start over with a different government. Just kind of like fire everybody, and let's make some tweaks here.
So when you're talking about these things, you say you want to replace the government, you're talking about the individuals within the government.
Nope, we are talking about the actual full government. Put this thing into bankruptcy, rebuild an entirely new government. And where we want to rebuild it is in Kansas, the geographic center of the United States. We want to get the seat of our government, the seat of our courts out of this military jurisdiction in D.C. That essentially makes it, right? D.C. is not a state, so they don't have to follow the Constitution in the same way that the states do.
Right.
The facilities could be way better laid out. It would be the geographic center of the United States. And I've talked to a lot of business leaders about this, and they are very open to the idea. And the thinking is, in addition to just it being fair, being in a state, being in the geographic center, it would send a very crystal clear message to our entire new government of, look, guys, you are in charge of fixing this country. You're not in charge of fixing Europe. You're not in charge of fixing the Middle East. You're not in charge of fixing Ukraine. You're in charge of this country right here. And I think Kansas would send a very clear message there. And a lot of people, they think, oh, that sounds like kind of out there, wild idea. But the truth is, countries like Egypt, countries like Indonesia are already doing this, right? They realize that their existing layout is inconducive to success moving into the future. Another thing we want to do with our new government, and the reason we have to have a new government is because, we have all these agencies, all this bureaucracy, and all these people have these unions, right? So unless we want to spend the next 30 years fighting with these unions and these corrupt politicians, we just kind of got to rip the Band-Aid off and do it.